The Torah tells us that Avram and Yitzchak lived in tents. They were nomads. Whereas Yaakov lived in a bayit, in a house. The question that comes up from this, why the contradiction? Why the discrepancy? Why did Yaakov choose to change the way of his forefathers? To understand this, we can perhaps look in a Gemara in Pesachim, which asks on a verse in Yeshayahu. The verse says, "V'alchu amim rabim, v'amru lechu v'na'ale el har Hashem el beit Elokei Yaakov." Let us ascend the mountain of God to the house of the God of Yaakov. The Gemara asks, why the house of Yaakov? You have another two forefathers. Why not the house of Avram? Why not the house of Yitzchak? And the Gemara answers, because in the days of Avram, this mountain was known as Har, a mountain. In the days of Yitzchak, Har Moriah was known as a sadeh, a field. But in the days of Yaakov, it was finally known as a bayit. As such, when the verse in Yeshayahu uses the word bayit, house, it attributes it to Yaakov. But the Rabbi asks, but why did the Torah use this lashon? Why choose language of Har, bayit, and sadeh for these three forefathers? And the Rabbi answers, because in the days of Avram, his spiritual service on the mountain elevated it and sanctified the spiritual foundations of the mountain. Yitzchak went one step further and sanctified the sanctuary, the Azarah. And Yaakov went even a further step. He sanctified the bayit, the house. With this answer, we can begin to understand why Avram and Yitzchak didn't want to live in a house. They didn't want to live in a house because in their time, the foundations of Hashem's house weren't yet built. How can we live in a house? How can we put down roots if Hashem still doesn't have a house? We need to live like nomads to show our discomfort. Yet Yaakov, with his spiritual service, he built foundations, the spiritual foundations of the house. He could now settle down and put down roots. In our days, where Har HaBayit Be'edenu, as Motagur said in 67, yes, we have the Har, but the Bayit isn't there. We also need to tap into this discomfort. No one is expecting us to move like nomads into Wrigley Field and move into tents. But we do need to feel, especially during these 3 weeks, the discomfort. We have houses. Jews live in houses today, but Hashem is still homeless. He still doesn't have a house. And with that discomfort, felt, especially during the 3 weeks, please God, the bayit will be built soon.